Welcome to the commentary booth where we watch and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play by play commentator Jamie Apps, and each week I'm joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by a freelance social commentator who lists their favourite movie as American Psycho and favourite TV show as Yellowstone. Welcome back to the show after a very long break, Blake Robinson.
Oh my God, very long break is an understatement, Jamie Adams.
Both kitted out in appropriate attire. Mine doesn't look quite like it until you watch the film, but this week we're heading to the grid to review Apple and Warner Brothers co-produced new sports drama movie F1. Where's F1 the movie? It's like got multiple names. On the posters it says like F1 the movie, but they just keep calling it F1.
Is it? I was understanding it's F1.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just a 2.5 hour, what would you call it? Advertisement, TV commercial for Formula One.
It's just Drive to Survive in a 2.5 hour format.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's like, yeah, Drive to Survive was a movie.
With like fake drivers.
You know what I was actually thinking when I was watching it? Like, this is like it's essentially if you watch Drive to Survive, but you didn't know the outcome of the races. Yeah, you just treated basically like every episode of Drive to Survive like a movie, which I assume like most new fans of Drive to Survive would be like, I guess, if they're new to the sport. Like,
well, even I know,
like, for the outcomes.
When I watch Drive to Survive, I don't necessarily know
remember, yeah, exactly.
Every single race.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, some you definitely remember. You're like, oh shit, I know what happened, exactly what's going on here. But yeah, I've even put my hand up the same. Yeah, heaps of races.
And I know, like, I always know like how it ends.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, like who ended up winning the season, but it's like
individual
races. I don't necessarily remember every result, so it's fine.
Yeah. Which brings me to my like first big point with this movie. How much I questioned myself, then I found the answer. How much of F1 actually put into this? And they invested heavily because this is one of the all-time great advertisements for a sport. Just the access they gave them is just going to be another huge return on investment, like what Drive to Survive was.
Yeah, and I did read that.
It's just genius. I think the original,
just like Drive to Survive, Red Bull were like, "Oh, we don't want to do this."
You know why I read Red Bull didn't want to do this? Is because this is actually, I think, a fact. Because Lewis Hamilton is one of the producers of it, they were worried Lewis was going to portray the Red Bull team and Max Verstappen as like bad guys in this.
Yeah, the ones.
But I think they had meetings and they made it clear with all teams and drivers that everyone was going to get portrayed equally. There'll be no, like, it's just going to be about the characters, the fictional characters in the movie. Then everyone else is just going to have an equal part in it, which did. I was thinking when I was watching this, not one driver, not one team got mentioned more than the other. Everyone got a fair go. Like, Lewis didn't put himself on screen more than anyone. Like, I probably thought maybe Lewis would get a bit of airtime or he could play a part. Pretty much no F1 drivers spoke in it, really, did they? They were all there equally. Like, I thought that was perfectly done. Like, it wasn't in your face. Like,
yeah, I guess because like they did have a lot of access, but they also were filming during the season, so they didn't want to like impact the performances during the season. So like the way that they incorporate those teams is they're just kind of the set dressing around the story, which is really ultimately quite a small story because it's just the Apex team, the infighting there of both the drivers clashing and then the management and stuff, the problems happening.
So what was it? Filmed during the 23 season, I think?
Yep.
I think it was a 23 British Grand Prix was the main scenes where they're like, then they actually, the Idris and Pitt characters actually were in the national anthem lineup and they actually did have their car. They got special approval by FIA to be in the formation lap, which is crazy.
Well, part of the formation lap. They didn't finish it.
Well, you can see when you watch the movie, you understand like how they did it. Like they had Brad Pitt's character.
They did the front straight
falling off the back. But and I think they like some scenes there they only had like one shot, one take, because they only had like 9 minutes to get it done, and very tight schedules. I think some of the onboard footage too I heard was they actually rigged up the movie cameras to Pierre Gasly's car at
Or to
Spa.
all of the cars.
Yeah, so they actually
So
had
like,
deals with big teams. Like they had movie cameras on board for these actual races. Then they just like edited into the AXGP cars their
yeah,
liveries
that
and
was like,
stuff.
that was part of the thing of like with the how authentic this feels. It does feel like a authentic, real F1 broadcast because it is like they just used the cameras that are already in the cars. Essentially, like they might have chipped in a little bit to be like, hey, use the really expensive 4K IMAX cameras instead of the cheapy GoPros.
Yeah, yeah, and that's just one thing. They went for authentic, and this is like you couldn't even imagine it be this authentic. They did such a good job. Like
Yep.
it's I can't express that enough.
Especially when
Um,
you look at the product placement. The product placement is up the wazoo. It is
that
F1
was the
to a
one.
T.
No, this is two major points that stuck out. Was the lack of actual F1 branding itself was almost never seen. The F1 logo almost never seen. It's not on anything until you get to like the scenes at the end where they're holding like a microphone and it has F1 on it. Like obviously the movie's called F1, so
Hmm.
that's the logo there, but not anywhere in the film was there F1 branding. But there was a lot, and now I say a lot of product placement for Heineken 0.0. That
Yeah,
was
Heineken
probably the
Heineken
one
Zero.
overdone, cheesy, corny thing they did was the amount of non-alcoholic Heineken that was in this.
Yeah, Cash App as well.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing for the AXGP team. They actually seeked out actual sponsors for the team.
Yeah,
So like Tommy
yeah,
Hilfiger, what is it, Expensify,
that's it.
Geico,
Expensive one.
they
Cash App.
all put out tenders to get this. And I think I read it took nearly between that and the way that like loopholes with taxes filming in like Abu Dhabi, the UK, the original budget was like $300 million and it ended up coming down to 200 mil
Mhm.
because of all the money they made back from these.
All
Like,
the money they brought back in. Yeah,
yeah, which is
and
still like more than Top Gun Maverick, I think.
30 million of that budget went to Brad Pitt.
Honest, and what? When are we going to get to him? Like, may as well now. That is one of the great like Brad Pitt performances, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking like,
He doesn't
well,
like
when was the
do
first
anything
time
outrageous, but yeah, he's very good.
he just does his job? He's never like better than the next. Like you haven't seen a bad Brad Pitt performance, have you? But there isn't one that stands out better than the
I think
next.
the thing that like stands out most in this is he contrasts so well with Damson Idris, the other driver,
Yeah, for
Joshua
sure. They
Cars.
couldn't be further apart, like
It's
in
like
person and in that character.
yeah, like they're just like you have the grizzled, gritty, hardworking veteran versus the like flashy, almost entitled upstart youngster coming through.
Yeah.
And that's basically the core of the story, them clashing and ultimately sort of learning from each other
Mm.
and gelling to make the team work instead of just look out for yourself type thing. It's like
Yeah.
ego is the big real center of this. Like classic F1, everyone has an ego. It's how do you rein that in to get the correct performances?
Yeah. And back on that storyline, like I just think they've played it so well. Like they've balanced it so well, like the authentic F1 movie and it being like actually genuinely good and interesting story. Like it's a 2.5 hour film and it went so quick. I think because there's just the storyline of the racing was so gripping and it was constant action. You never once was like there was never slow scenes or it didn't really drag out too much.
The story is kind of pretty formulaic, like your typical sports drama of underdogs working hard and eventually like succeeding and toppling.
I was worried. There's a lot of scenes and a lot of parts that could have easily been very predictable, and I was like, especially at the end, there's so many angles that could have gone,
Yeah, I
but it
love that
didn't.
that they did subvert
I did not
the
have
expectations at the end.
the Brad Pitt, Sonny Hayes character winning that race at
No,
all.
I thought he was going to like crash out and die.
I they made you think that, I thought he was going to pass out over the line or something, or not
Yeah.
make it, and just set the Idris character up for success. Or they did it so it seems so predictable a lot, but it didn't end up being that way.
Like, there's a part where he has in that last race, has the crash and it red flags the race. And he's the only driver that, like, doesn't get out of the car, and I was thinking, "He can't get out of the car." Like, he's
Yeah,
not getting out of the car because he can't, and then it's gonna get to the end of the race, and he's not gonna be able to get up.
even at the end when what is she? She's like the race engineer comes into the garage and looks for him. It sort of played on like he wasn't going to be there, or he'd be passed out, like would have died.
Yep.
Which he wasn't. Like I was bracing for just a really sad ending there, and I'm glad it didn't give it to me.
With that race engineer, Kate McKenna, played by Kerry Condon, I thought she was very good. I didn't particularly enjoy the sort of
The
the
romance.
romantic story. I know why it's there. Like,
It was good. I thought it was
it's
good.
that sub B plot for all of the wags, like the wives and girlfriends that get dragged along to this movie.
There was none of that,
Here's the
was there?
romance story for you guys.
Yeah, but back on that, like in the what is it? Was it Rush, the James Hunt, Niki Lauda movie? Like that was all outside attention from fans and groupies. So I'm glad they could have easily done that, like had screaming fans coming at them, the drivers. But
Well,
if
they
they were
have
going
that
to
little
make it
bit
a love story, I'm glad they
Omnia
did.
in Vegas.
Yeah, no, true. That was how bad was her acting? That chick.
Can you introduce me to him? And I was like,
Can you introduce
this
me
is
to
like,
Carlos Sainz?
yeah, I'll go get him. Yet, cool, thanks.
That's another thing I thought funny in the club. Like when Tiesto was playing, they had the Heineken 0.0 brand. Like, in what world is a nightclub going to
Is
promote
the Omnia?
non-alcoholic?
I guess it was a sponsor.
Oh, they're the major
So
sponsor of F1.
they're sponsoring it, I guess.
Um,
Why would they not just be promoting, like, just buy Heineken in here?
yeah.
The club.
So yeah, it's done very well there. But I think a lot of this could have went down a lot of cheesy, corny avenues, and they've missed a lot of them, which is good. But yeah, the Heineken placement got a bit deafening for a while there.
I think my biggest concern, like an issue with that romantic story, is like it really doesn't have payoff. Like, it gets to the end and he just ups and leaves.
It's
Like,
given sequel, man. It has to. Then he goes, because does he hand her a ring at the end? He does. Hey, they didn't really show it, but and she's
that's the
like,
thing.
nah.
Like,
She's like, nah,
it
hold
just
on
kind
to
of goes
that.
nowhere.
But then he
Yeah.
goes off and ends up taking up that Baja ride, which just sort of ends like.
Yeah, it was a weird end, like
They'd have to do
strange
another
ending.
one.
Like, I almost expected it to be like, okay, I achieved like this lifelong goal thing. I can hang up like the helmet
I would have
type
loved,
thing.
I
And
would have
just
loved to see him on the
oh,
team, like
yeah, just go and be the
the strategy guy, like
director for Joshua in the next season.
yeah, like be his race engineer.
Yeah, that's what I expected it to be, and they just didn't do that. I was like, okay. Like I
Yeah,
said,
but
they
when you
subvert
mention,
all your expectations. They let you think one thing and then turn and take a different direction.
which is good because I don't like a predictable film, but they made it out at the start like the love story was going to be with the mechanic, hey, the pit crew girl. That seemed like the most obvious
Yeah,
one.
I think
She
like
was a
she's
bit of
way too
a
young. That would
bit
have
of
been real
yeah,
weird.
yeah, maybe because she was a bit of a young glamour. I was like, oh, maybe this is going to be the angle because they did tease that. They definitely wanted us to go down that path and start thinking that. But yeah, I didn't think it would be the race engineer.
Yeah, I just watched it. I was like, oh, she's too young. No, they can't go there. That'll annoy too many people.
Back on like when I mentioned the race engineer, and they actually used the real facilities of Mercedes team and their race simulator, which apparently took a lot to get over the line because that's like a top secret facility. So they had to make sure they didn't give too much away of that simulator and all their testing facilities.
And the FIA were like,
That's what I mean.
you cannot do this because we don't want you to go in there. And then Mercedes, because like
Yeah.
R&D is like very strict on how much you can do.
Yeah.
And the FIA were like, we can't just let you have free reign in there because what if they just chuck their car in and do extra
Yeah.
R&D and just go, oh, it was them.
I've never gotten or seen that simulator like that. Incredible insight into that sort of world. That was crazy, that thing.
Even the like the driving simulator where they put the drivers in. I was like,
Yeah, it's
"Holy,
like just like on a treadmill. That's
I want
crazy.
one of those things.
Yeah,
That's
that's sick.
expensive.
That's fun as. But yeah, I think
That'd
well,
make
Mercedes had a
F1
lot.
way more fun."
Mercedes had a lot of say in this movie. They obviously produced the cars and did the engines for the cars, which is actually an F2 car. Did you realize that? It's an F2 chassis. And they've just done like a carbon fiber shell to make it look like replicate an F1 car.
Which I guess is smart because it's a lot easier to drive an F2 car than it's still
Yeah, that's
a
what I mean. Like
very
it's still fast and it still
it's
does.
still a very difficult car to drive, but it's a lot less than the F1 highest performance car in the world.
Yeah. You're seeing a lot of online people, like the purists, are saying like they're picking apart. People are going to pick apart things, aren't they? But I think the biggest one for me was probably
The fact that they continually qualify like last, and then as soon as the first
well, they
like
just the fact they didn't show
as soon as
qualifying
the
at
race
all.
takes off, they just start flying past people like they've got the fastest car in the world.
Yeah, so they've just sped it up to like the race. Like it would have been good to see some sort of qualifying footage, or it's just like it's been computer or PC simulated, like on a game. Like you just skip qualifying and you go straight to the race.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or
every time it's like, "Oh, we qualified last because we don't have, like, top line speed."
yeah,
But then as soon as we take off on the grid, we're just like, "Oh, look, we made up, like, 12 places before the first
because
corner." It's like, "What the
what was
fuck?"
the mod they did? It was like a floor. There's a new floor they made.
Yeah, so they changed all of the aero because, like, Sonny was just like, "Yeah, your simulator's all well and good for straight line speed, but it doesn't help in the corners and when we're in dirty air." Like,
Yeah.
that's where we're
Um,
struggling. What did you think of the sort of like with Sonny, the depiction of like athletes and their sports superstitions with like he's always wear every race he wears two odd socks.
I was going to get to
He
the odd
always has to
socks
have a
card,
playing card in his
which we
pocket.
learn he doesn't look at the card. I wonder what and sort of at the end he looks at it, but they don't show it. It just had to be Ace because I think his nickname was Ace, wasn't it? That was his sort of his logo was the Ace of Spades with a 7 in it.
It was the seven of spades. So I imagine that was the card that he got in that last race and then won.
No, I did like the like how they played that gritty out the back of his van, lives out of a backpack, sort of, and contradiction like the new age drivers doing all these sports science, VO2 max testing, all the fancy stuff. He's on his phone constantly, like engagement with fans, and Brad Pitt's just juggling tennis balls and jogging around the track doing some chin ups. Like I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I love that sort of element too of for people that don't watch F1, it's a nice little insight of like these are not just Joe Schmoes off the street that
Mm.
have just been driving for a long time. Like these are legitimate athletes that you can't just get in one of these things and crush it.
Yeah, well, like, as well, like training their heads and their necks, like doing strength exercise in the gym to handle the G forces and whatnot. Yeah, you mentioned the odd socks. That's another point I made. Like, that's just whoever came up with that. That's could be genius marketing from the F1 to have like F1 licensed odd socks. Like,
Mhm.
I for one will buy some. Like, I
Um,
wouldn't be surprised if we see them soon. Like, and I don't know how I haven't seen the AXGP merch yet. It's only a matter of time.
and yeah, like they also do a good job of for those casual F1 fans of like explaining
Yeah, it's good.
DRS, the battery,
Oh, I thought it was
and
perfect.
all of those fitness elements. It's like there's a section in this where it's basically just like, here's the F1 for Dummies like intro. Here's
Yeah,
how this all works.
it's like horse racing broadcasting on Melbourne Cup Day. Like they sort of do dumb it down for the common fan a bit, while still trying to stay authentic. But it's a fine line. It's a tough balance to like not make it too plain Jane for the average punter, and like we still withhold the interest of like the fan.
On that though, there were a few things that was like, okay, they're really playing on the casual fan. Like there's the race where they have, I think it's just after Josh returns from his big crash, and then they have the double DNF, even though they were fighting for last place. And like the commentators and everyone in the like paddock makes a big deal out of, oh, you don't take out your teammate. And it's like they were fighting for last place.
Yeah.
Neither one of them was getting points anyway. Who cares?
Well,
They didn't
they still
they
create
didn't destroy the
theatre out of it.
cars. Like it would have been totally different if they totally exploded the cars and just cost the team millions of dollars, but it was just
Yeah.
like they just spun out and got
Honestly,
stuck in the
there
same.
wasn't much I could pick at as far as going, oh, that's not very realistic. Like, there were little things, but they did such a good job.
Even the crashes, like, are
Yeah.
very authentic. Like,
Oh, the one thing is, like, when
there is a crash where in the past where a driver has gone up over the fence and stuff,
yeah, do
and
you
then
think that was a bit
the
sensitive,
fire
those
was like the
fire
Roman
crashes?
Grosjean thing.
Roman Grosjean, that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, is this a bit, like, too soon? You reckon?
That was especially when, like,
Even,
there's
like
drivers that were there for that.
yeah, I know, like, most of them were, like, oh, didn't it was on, like, the 2nd season of Drive to Survive, so it's still
Mhm.
pretty fresh. But even, like, the old what do you think of the old race footage when he was a rookie and he crashed? That's very, like, Ayrton Senna crash, I thought. Very touchy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't
100%.
I thought that was a bit tasteless, to be honest with you. Like, the grainy footage even, like, gave notes of a Niki Lauda crash,
Yeah, I think that's what they were aiming for, like, just, like,
but they didn't give too
for
much
hardcore
about
fans,
his
like,
injury.
you know those sort of touchstones, but
Yeah,
for the
like,
casual,
mentioning Senna, Prost, I
"Oh,
thought that
shit,
was
car
good. They didn't
exploded, he's on the
overplay that.
street."
But, yeah, his injury, like, they sort of teased the scar a bit. How do you think they played that in? Like, we found out towards the end what it was all about, but do you reckon they should have told us more about that injury, or he never really mentioned what happened to him? He just had a crash.
Yeah, like, when they show the crash, you're like, "Oh, shit, yeah, it was pretty serious,"
Yeah.
and they showed the scar down
Mm.
in the back of his, like, spine, so, like, you understand that it wasn't just, like, a fracture, like, it was bad enough that they had to cut his spine open and do surgery on it,
Yep.
so you understand it's pretty bad, and then he has that big crash, and that's why when, like, when he doesn't get out of the car, I was like, "That's because he can't." Like, he can probably still use his, like, feet to do the pedals,
Yeah,
but I
true.
don't think
But
he thinks he has the strength to stand up, so he's just
oh,
gonna stay.
that was after he spun out and, like, hit the wall from behind pretty hard. Like, that's a DNF in any race, period. Like, that's one of the unrealistic things. Like, there's no way he's just going and putting a new wing on that car and getting back out there after a red flag.
Yeah, yeah, a whole new rear end
It's like, bro.
in, like, 7 minutes.
But it's Hollywood, so shut up, purists. Just deal with it, enjoy it. What do you think of a couple of cameos?
There are a lot of F1, like, real driver
Oh,
cameos
good.
and F1
Oh,
personalities.
like, I felt they were, like I said, they could have easily overdone it and really flexed their muscles, but I think they did a good job. I absolutely love the Gunther ones. I think they knew what they were doing there. They knew a lot of new casual fans are going to know him and absolutely love that.
It's just funny now that he's not even in F1 paddock anymore. Like, that's the problem with this being from the 22 or 23 season.
Yeah.
Gunther's not in the paddock anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's working on the 10 on 10 broadcast team from Melbourne.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh, that's kinda sucks that he's
The
not
use
there
of Will
anymore, but, like,
Buxton, actual F1
all of the other
journalist.
drivers,
Well,
yeah,
that's
like,
good.
they're kinda just
Good for
passing
him.
cameos. I think, there's one where they're doing a like a post-race, like, interview, and one of comes up and, like, shakes Brad Pitt's hand or something. It's like, okay, that's, like, the closest we can get to these guys aren't really involved in the storyline, they're kinda just floating around, like, and it's like F1, like, everyone has their own sort of stories happening throughout the season.
Yeah.
Um, they're not all necessarily crossing paths and interacting.
Yeah, I heard it must have been the Abu Dhabi race when George Russell and Charles Leclerc were on the podium with, well, yeah, it would have been when Brad Pitt won, Sonny Hayes won. They actually they did their podium for the actual race in real life. Then George and Charles had to go back up onto the podium and do the champagne spray
Wicked.
again for the movie.
God, that's fun for them.
Oh, yeah, I actually noticed like how genuinely happy like they were filming that scene like in the movie. I was like, these guys are loving this.
Well,
Would have been
especially
cheers.
because they know, like, this is gonna be a big moment in the movie, like, we're gonna be in, like, the penultimate scene of this
It's
movie.
yeah, it's weird to think about a whole field of F1 drivers who are absolute superstars like now, like full blown celebrities, all would have been starstruck
Yep.
working with Brad Pitt. Like, what a crazy feeling that would have been for Brad.
What did you think of, like, the racing scenes? Like, I thought they did a good job of incorporating, like we mentioned before, like, real race footage from
Yeah,
the
it was perfectly
inside the
done.
cars.
I recognise a few of the crashes too. Like, that was actual footage of the
The
crashes.
Gasly one?
The Gasly one. Who was it? Might have been Charles who ran up the back of. Max Verstappen and popped his car up.
Yep.
Is that who it was? I recognise that. But yeah, like they used a lot of real race footage, which was good.
Yeah, I loved how they did that because for people that watch the races, you go, "Oh, I know that crash."
Yeah, there's definitely the punter is going to recognise a few of these crashes and actual scenes in the race. They use a lot of real footage from Spa too. I think it was all like wireless cameras too. I read so they had like
it would have been like drones.
four on a car, and I think they set up their hub. They had like a 1 mile radius on the wireless camera, so they set up their like main filming hub in the middle of the track, so they could like adjust all the cameras as they go. So when they had like overtaking scenes, like it was from one perspective, then they just turn the camera, so it's like it's not separate takes, like it's just authentic. Yep. Yeah, they did a really good job of that. Yeah, cinematography was just incredible. This is like a must see on the big screen.
Yeah, and that goes back to the director Joseph Kosinski, who did like Top Gun Maverick. So there's a lot of, and like Jerry Bruckheimer was a producer as well. So they've taken a lot of lessons from their big action sequence movies from the past and brought them in here. And like obviously doing Top Gun, the battles on the race feel like dogfights. Like it's 100%. Very much.
No, a lot of scenes in this felt very Top Gun Maverick. And you just tell by the like cinematography and the way it was directed as well.
I did like the little tribute to Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby with the slingshot maneuver that they did a couple of times.
Oh, you've got to pay homage to one of the greats.
Every time it happened, I was like, "Oh, slingshot engaged."
Is this the best racing movie since Talladega Nights?
Yeah, probably. It's better than Ford versus Ferrari, which is still a good movie.
What else has there been? Actually, you know what? Actually, I should have mentioned this at the start. One of the opening scenes when he was at the Daytona, the 24-hour race, I was like, this has perfectly aligned. This feels like the adult version of Cars.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is so accurate. Like, when did Cars come out? That's 20 years ago? So this is been timed perfectly for my age now, and this is my adult Cars.
Like F1 are clearly trying to break into the States with some of their recent races and stuff. Like
friggin' 3 races there now.
To do the Daytona part at the opening is like, hey, American audiences, pay attention. Like, you know this track, like you know this iconic place. I have driven past that track myself twice. Very exciting every time.
I swear Brad Pitt was the only American actor in this.
Yeah,
like
much.
Apart from maybe a couple of drivers at the start in the opening scenes from Daytona, but.
Are you a trading card collector or a fan of Australian pro wrestling? If so, you're not going to want to miss out on the limited edition Australian wrestling cards. Each set includes 50 packs of 10 cards, including some of the country's top wrestling talents like Robbie Eagles, Shane Haste, Madison Eagles, Hartley Jackson, and they have Shaza McKenzie listed, although she is not a favorite. The Velocities, and a lot more. There's wrestlers, referees, announcers, commentators that are featured, giving you a full appreciation of the Australian independent scene. The cards sold out a lot faster because cards are hot right now, as I'm sure Jeremy Lambert will tell you. But you can order your Australian wrestling cards now at Pario Magazine. That's PARIO magazine.com.au/AUS WRES cards. Follow Australian Wrestling Cards on social media at AusResCards for updates. Join the hundreds of fans who have already discovered the excitement of Australian wrestling cards.
What did you think of like the music as well? Like Hans Zimmer did the score for this.
That's like, yeah, it was just very big cinema, big theater sounding. That's what another thing it took me back to Top Gun.
His like score parts were good. I didn't like the cliche Queen, "We Will Rock You" for the British Grand Prix. I was like, okay, of course that's the song they chose for this.
Yes and no, but it fit well, and I was like, this is actually kind of a vibe. It could have been worse. It's better than like, what's the worst song used in a movie that's cliche? "We Are the Champions." Like, is there a more overused song?
Especially a sports movie.
Yeah. Soundtrack pretty good apparently.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was like the authentic race feel. Your team, Ferrari. Of course, there was the classic Ferrari pit stop blunder that ended up costing them the final race. I was like, yes, I'm glad they incorporated classic Ferrari not being able to do strategy at all.
Yeah, that was cheeky. But that's what I meant. Thing I was going to say, like they did a good job of not trying to portray one team worse than the other, one real life team. I'm stoked with how they did that.
Yep.
Especially with Lewis not putting himself in it too much. Like obviously a big Lewis fan, but like he could have easily done that.
I think like there is a lot of Lewis in the Joshua Pierce character of being like a young, brash, black British driver coming up through the ranks, obviously facing a lot of criticism because of his race and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think there is a lot of Hamilton in that character, but it's not like, oh, this is a Lewis Hamilton biopic.
To what extent has Lewis had a say in the writing of this, do you think? Like, I know he's a producer, but like, is that just a credential in the credits?
From the sounds of it, he was mainly just there to make sure that they didn't do anything too outrageous in the.
You could say he would have been like the spokesperson for the drivers, like the representative for the drivers.
The other part of that, the strategy part, the Plan C, which for the most part was chaos,
combat chaos,
was pretty interesting. It also led me to think that they essentially almost predicted this year's Monaco Grand Prix with the, hey, one driver on the team just drive really slow so you back everyone up so that the other guy has
the oldest trick in the book, but yeah, like you got to be so careful doing that because they don't, like the stewards don't muck around. They can see what you're doing. So it was like, how many times did Sonny, like early on in the film, like deliberately crash? That was getting comical. Hey, like that is another thing. Like that just will not happen in real life. You just can't do that and get away.
We got black flag after the second time.
Yeah,
like no, get off. But like the Monaco Grand Prix, they didn't ping anyone for driving too slow.
Yeah, well, George nearly did at the
Russell
end.
Just went, screw you, I'm just going past. And then they pinged George for it.
I can understand how they did that with Monaco this year, just to speed the race up or make it like a bit more.
Try to make it more interesting. But yeah, it's just didn't.
But then, look what happened at the end. They're like, oh, we're just going to cop the fine or cop the penalty. Like it just completely folded back on itself. So like it nearly worked, but it's like George at the end. He's like, yeah, fuck it, like whatever. I'll just cop the fine.
Yeah, I'm not getting points anyway, so I might as well just fucking try this.
Yeah, so that sort of backfired.
Talking of Monaco, like, what do you think of what is the future for that race? Like, the last 4 or 5 now, it's just been whoever comes first wins. Like whoever qualifies first wins the race.
I think everyone's like accepting that to a point. Like Monaco's never going to go away. It's never going to leave the calendar. Like it did just get renewed for what 7 years or something. Money. Like that. Well, if you ask the non-F1 fan, like what is one race they know Monaco. It does so much for the sport, and like considering how much the sport's growing right now, like, it's never going to leave the calendar. But
well, yeah, like if I won the lotto and there was any F1 race I could go to, it's Monaco.
It's the best.
Like it's the shittiest race to watch, but you want to be there for that experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you don't tune in now for the racing in Monaco. You tune in to watch the Monaco Grand Prix because there's so much to look at. It's such a spectacle. So yeah, I can understand that they probably are going to keep tweaking it, trying to make it interesting. But look, watching F1 cars drive around in a circle is interesting enough as it is.
I think the only way they can make that race work is if they actually go hardcore on changing the regulations and making them make those cars way smaller because they're so big now. It's impossible to get past on such a tight track.
Yeah, I don't know if that even would help it that much. They honestly, at the end of the day, if they want to make it interesting, they need to change the track. I actually seen on YouTube someone did. It was on some game. I don't know what it was. Like, might have been like one of them Forzas, but he could somehow change like a DIY the Monaco track, and like half of it, he did the track backwards, which was sick. But then went all the way back down to the other end of the island, and sort of like it was really interesting. I was like, and it was just made it so much quicker, so many more opportunities, like fast turns for overtaking. But
yeah, I don't know because it's such a tight technical track because it was small cars.
Yeah.
And now they're so big, you need the big, like the Abu Dhabis, the free flowing trips.
There's only 2 opportunities to overtake really in Monaco.
It's the first corner and that's it. If you don't get past on the first corner, that's it.
Yeah, it's just a battle of the fastest. Whoever qualifies the quickest is probably going to win the race. Just get your car fast for Monaco, then get back to a circuit the next week.
Yeah, like I mentioned, they're clearly trying to break into the US, and I think this movie
They have, well and truly.
but, like, they're really pushing for it because, like, this movie really highlights that, like I was shocked they didn't highlight the Miami Grand Prix, like, the Vegas one is clearly,
Yeah.
like, the crown jewel of F1 at the moment of, like,
Sucks, bro. Speaking of
this is the race, like, Americans know the Vegas race, the world knows the Vegas race because it's an iconic city, an iconic race
I don't think it
format.
can last though. Like they can't. Well, they definitely can't. America definitely can't have 3 races. That's just. I think that's common
No.
knowledge. I think Miami's here to stay. They'll probably have to get rid of Austin. Really.
Yeah, that's something. But then Austin's the best track.
Yeah, Austin's like the only good track. So
It's their good track, and it's just like, oh, well, that sucks.
But yeah, I think Vegas is locked in long term. They've really invested heavily into Miami, like built the track there.
Yeah, they make those two tracks make so much money for them. They're never going to get rid
But
of
you make that point though. How long's Miami been around for? Was they even around in 2023, or was that the first year of it? So it's probably too early to put it into the film. I think it's only in its second or third year.
Yeah, that's probably why it's not in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of everything I had written down. In terms of like, as an F1 fan, overall, what did you think of the movie?
Yeah, it was epic. Like I could have went. Bro, I'd love to watch it again too. Like I think it's just one of those. Like I said, it's be like watching Drive to Survive, but that's the movie version. If you're into that, but all that aside, all the racing and fandom aside, it was an epic film. The storyline was sick, I reckon. Like not knowing the results, not knowing what's going to happen. It was just, it's a spectacle. Like from a nerdy point of view, like just spotting all the Easter eggs and all that sort of stuff. I love that shit.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think it hit like the levels I expected, but I still enjoyed it.
I had no idea what to expect. Like from this, like I didn't really want to dive too much into trailers and spoilers and that. So I sort of just wanted to watch the movie myself.
I was just thinking like Top Gun Maverick I frothed Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, bro, they paid homage to Top Gun so well in that movie, like to the point, like some of them scenes made me giddy. I was like, this is so good. Like they've done so well paying respect to Top Gun here.
Yeah, so I don't think F1 hit those levels, but then like you also look at the Top Gun one and it has like the nostalgia factor, so maybe that's why it like
for sure. But then this has that nostalgia factor for F1 fans. Like it's just, you would absolutely froth this film as an F1 fan. But in saying that, as a non-F1 fan, like the people I know who don't like F1, I put myself in their shoes. Like, would they like this? I think it might be just a bit too much. Might be too in your face for like a non-fan. A casual fan, yes, it'd be great.
The 2.5 hours,
it'd be too much. Like if
you're stretch, yeah. Like if you're just a Brad Pitt fan, this might be a bit hard.
Yeah, but as a racing fan, like you will not get enough of this. But I just want to backtrack quickly on a couple of little Easter egg and cameos. That journalist? Who is it? He's from Harry Potter. Yeah, that's where I recognize him from. The one who Sonny did the bet with. He's in Harry Potter. Is he turned into a rat or something in Prisoner of Azkaban?
I thought he was an F1 like actual journo.
The reporter, the old guy.
Yeah, I thought it was an actual journos. I think he's like
he was in Harry Potter.
Playing a character similar like one of them.
I instantly thought like this is sort of like loosely based off Martin Brundle, surely.
I think that's who he was like.
That was the vibe.
Like he wore the same like hat and everything.
And I don't know if anyone else thinks this. I've always seen Javier Bardem and Toto Wolff as like a similar sort of character, like person. Each other's always reminded me of each other, and to have them in the same room, I was like, oh my god, that's cool. So the little Toto cameo at the end.
Toto's one of those people that like has like a little cameo speaking role right at the very end where he tells Joshua like, hey, if you ever want to come over to us, like, you know where to find me. And Josh is like, I'm good.
Is that the fact that he denies it too? So I was going to say, is that like a segue for a potential sequel either?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's open. Options are there.
It is open. Is
this gonna do well? I think it's gonna take off. They've released it at the perfect time of the year, middle of the season. I think isn't Silverstone next weekend too? Pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I think so. I think their biggest issue is going to be July is stacked. They've got to make their money in the next week or two at most. Because then you get into July, which is Jurassic Park, Superman is going to be insane. Fantastic Four is going to do bonkers numbers. So like they're going to make them now.
This is a very unique film in the way where I don't think they're going to rely too much on their box office numbers straight away. Like this is going to have residual effects in years to come. Like this approach from F1
and the fact that
to bring money in.
Movie, a lot of people might just wait.
Yeah.
Although with Napoleon, they waited a long time to put it on Apple. So
yeah,
like,
true. I actually
I
watched that again on the plane recently.
Go and watch it now.
Yeah, they're going to make their money back in very unique avenues for this.
Yeah, like you said, merch. Like just sell
give me some odd
Apex
socks, please.
GP jacket, shirt.
On Apex GP, that black and gold car is epic. Why is there no F1 team with that livery? That is incredible.
Yeah, like Mercedes was the closest when they had the black and
I'm gonna make a little prediction here. If not Silverstone, then Abu Dhabi, Mercedes will rock the AXGP livery.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them rocks it like this weekend.
Well, it'd be the perfect time. Movie just came out. British Grand Prix is next weekend? It'd be perfect. Yeah. They have to do something. They'd be stupid not to. F1's smarter than that.
I guess Kick they've got the black and lime green. Like they're as close to this colours.
Yeah, but that gold, man, that's so good. They've done it. Yeah. They nailed it. I was very happy.
And then like all of their it helped too that like their race suits and everything was white. So like the drivers still pop in the car as well. Like they don't kind of just blend it in, which often happens. Also, I'm getting you got to get a Happy Meal in the next couple of weeks.
Why? What have they got?
They got the Happy Meals, the cars.
Bullshit.
Like Matchbox size,
brother.
Apex GP, and like one that's clearly Red Bull without being the Red Bull.
Talk dirty. I'm getting some on the way home from the footy tonight. So they've done away with the State of Origin Cups, have they?
I think they've still got those as like their own individual.
It's only Happy Meals, is it?
But the Happy Meal you get, the car. Like, ooh, might have to get one of those.
Talk dirty.
Have you invested in the Lego F1 cars? Oh, he has.
I haven't built it yet. I got it when I was in Italy. So yet to build it. They're everywhere out there. That's another fucking actually marketing genius from F1 there.
They're pretty awesome.
And also, give me an AXGP Lego F1 while you're at it.
I've seen some awesome setups for those. People have got like a frame, like a black frame with a white back. They've glued like a Lego piece on for each car, so that you can mount the cars vertically.
That's sick. I'm gonna do something.
And then underneath they put the team logos, and then
fuck yeah.
Yeah, the big F1 logo.
I did buy this with the intentions to display it somewhere cool when I build it. So
just go to
epic, bro.
Yeah, go to Kmart, buy just a basic black frame, and then get a Lego piece that you can stick onto the frame back.
Yeah,
and then car on top.
That's a mad idea. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna have to build it this. I think this is this weekend job.
Yeah, that'll be fun. The last note I had written down too was we mentioned the cinematography and how many cameras and everything they had. In terms of editing this, they had over 5,000 hours of footage. And thankfully, the SAG-AFTRA strike hit.
I heard about this.
Right after filming, so they had 2 years to edit this.
Yeah, I think I heard they still had to use a heap of stunt doubles and stuff to keep rolling over while the strike was happening. Yeah, is that a lot of footage? I feel like I could probably use
5,000 hours for a 2-hour movie. Yeah, that's a shitload of footage. Especially if they had cameras on every single car. You think about it, you're getting 2 or 3 hours per car per race.
I think that's the one thing that's so impressive about this film is how well the onboards are and the race footage, just how it's all synced. It's incredible.
The blending of the Apex car into the races, you can't really tell that they've done that. They just look like they belong in there. Oh yeah, those cars were there.
Even the guys on the on the grid when they did the national anthem, I honestly thought they were AI'd into it, or whatever.
They just filmed them and they just put them right at the very end. So the actual F1 TV broadcast could frame it so that they couldn't be seen.
Yeah.
But then for the movie, their cameras had them.
You know what I was thinking too? That was always I didn't see a single video or photo pop up online for a fan that was at the race. Do you reckon they had to?
I saw some TikToks like at Silverstone last
I
year.
was going to say, were they like embargoed or like had to sign something? Like the fans, like I didn't see anything. Like I heard about it. I've seen
footage of them when they were filming that scene on the grid. People went in the crowd being like, "Oh, Brad Pitt's filming the movie." I was like, oh, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, I heard about when the race was on. I knew they were filming, but yeah, I never seen anything pop up. There you go.
And I liked they had like they set their garage up between.
Yeah, they actually had their garage
in Red Bull, so like they were in between the two of them.
Yeah,
which means like all of the footage filmed in the garage was filmed on that one weekend.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and to even get like I said, the FIA to sign off on them being a part of the formation lap, that's just epic.
It shows how much the FIA they're looking at marketing F1 more than they ever have. Not so much just relying on the F1 name. Like they realize to grow this sport, we need to reach out outside of the regular racing fan.
Yeah.
Like if you're an F1 fan, you're an F1 fan. But Drive to Survive, I think, opened their eyes to like, oh, there are people that don't know about this. And if we can get them hooked in on the story elements, I'll watch the actual races as well.
Yeah, with like, they made a point of bringing the stewards into the garage and saying, hey, this isn't right. Like, they're actually really making a point of having the average fan know about rules and regulations. And I heard they did test screenings of the film and they asked people like before it, have you ever like been to a race? And like they got like several hands went up. And at the end of the film, they're like, oh, who would like to go to a race now? Like every single person put their hand up. So.
Oh yeah, that'd be wild. And yeah, like I reviewed the game a couple of weeks ago, and there's an Apex GP mode in that. I'm like, I've got to
bullshit.
play that.
I actually want to get it, but I want to get is it the Icon Edition, the one with Lewis on it? I want that on disc, which I haven't seen out yet. So I'm gonna try hang out for that.
Yeah, if they even have it anymore, you might have to order it online.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm actually keen to play it. I've heard great things about it.
So as we close out, in terms of a rating, what would you give F1 the movie out of 5?
5 lights out of 5.
Okay, yeah. I gave it 3 out of 5. Like I said, it just didn't quite hit the levels I was expecting, and it's just such an ambiguous, weird ending where I was like, oh, that kind of fell flat.
I was mesmerized by that stage, so it didn't really bother me. And like, I didn't expect anything.
Romantic B plot didn't hit with me at all. I was like, okay,
that's
cool.
So on brand for
especially
you,
the ending.
I love that shit. No, that did for me.
Why does he just leave? Like, it built up 2 hours of these two like falling in love, and then he's just like, I'll be back. I gotta go like chase more like random obscure races and tick them off my list. I was like, okay, cool. Like,
what do you reckon?
A weekend. You didn't have to like leave this woman forever. Like, I'll be he could have just been like, I'll come back as a race engineer next season, but in the meantime, I gotta go get my fill of racing.
It'll happen. Yes or no? Sequel.
Yes.
So that's when he'll come back as a race engineer.
F1 will be like that. We can make.
Well, that went well. What's the next one going to be called? F1 Baja.
Yeah, I don't know.
F1 2.
It's called F2.
Start pushing F2. Work your way down to F3.
Well, if they did it F2 and then like just had like an F2 driver join alongside Joshua.
Brad Pitt's stump title was F2 driver.
Makes sense. Yeah, so that's F1 the movie. Everyone head out, check it out, and if not, it'll be on Apple TV Plus
sooner rather than later.
Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Blake on Twitter at Captain Crumbs with a Z, and you can follow me on social media at Jamie Apps Media and at Parrio Magazine. The commentary booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Parrio Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Apps Media. The following people supported at the publisher level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support.